You know, it'd be mind-bogglingly easy for me to turn on the webcam after E3 and proffer the same trite bullshit reactions that every other leaning tower of jelly on this site is going to offer. Oh, what's that, Festus? Sony done had kicked Microsoft's ass at E3 2013? Yeah, riveting stuff. Penetrating insight there, champ. I'm spellbound. Fuck that bullshit. So no post-E3 reactions this year for RazörFist. I apologize if that disappoints anyone, but it's just not happening this year. But the inverse of that, with me playing Armchair Nostradamus and telling you what'll happen, that's a lose-lose proposition for everyone as well. I mean, so consider this my guideline and an ideal blueprint for what each of the three major companies should do for the sake of themselves and the entire industry at large. In short, this is the Rageaholic's comprehensive guidebook to E3 2014. Sony find themselves on unfamiliar footing at E3 2014. For the first time in nearly a decade, they are the frontrunners. This is their show to lose. Yet if they drop trow and begin lovingly stroking that legendary Sony ego, they'll be doing so prematurely, I think. For all its success, the PS4 really isn't in quite as comfortable a place as I believe they'd like to be. They rushed the machine to market, and it's reflected in the console's full-on fucking wayfish game library, a library that is slowly but surely beginning to eat into the formerly titanic sales figures the PS4 was enjoying. A console can only sell itself for so long before it needs a fucking game or two to actually play in the goddamn thing. While they're far from hurting, Sony went from selling several million PS4s per month to selling 750,000 to 500,000, and now, of course, less. And I firmly believe the console's ongoing first-party famine is directly to blame. And with major titles like Arkham and The Order now being pushed back as late as holiday of 2015, that's where this year's E3 presentation comes in. Your mission, should you choose to not self-destruct before this fucking message does, is to announce a goddamn exclusive. And not just any exclusive, a major one. And that exclusive, and this is important, needs to be released in the next 4 to 6 ever-loving months. Full stop. None of this late 2015 if we feel like it bullshit. You curb-checked Microsoft so hard at E3 2013, Bill Gates actually somehow got uglier, and that motherfucker could bend forks with his face beforehand. But that doesn't mean you're in the clear, Sony. You've got a positively dominant sales lead worldwide for a fact, but here in the States, the largest and most coveted gaming market in the world, it's not so cut and dry. The Xbox One is still breathing down your neck and occasionally outselling your console, and now that the Xbox One is the same price, has at least a couple worthwhile first-party games, and doesn't come packaged with that HAL 9000, it's time to take your own goddamn advice and step your game up. One game. One game! That is literally all you fucking need. I mean, afterward, you can send Kazurai out to be sweaty and mispronounce words in 2 languages for 45 minutes, and you will still win E3 2014. Just do not fuck this up! Actually, you know what? After a decade and a half of runaway successes like the PSP Go and PlayStation Move, let's keep this simple and let's keep it pithy. For one night and one night only, do not be fucking Sony. Next!
Why trust you? Give me one good reason why.
Microsoft find themselves at a double-edged crossroads this year. At last year's E3, they got wrecked. And they didn't even get wrecked because Sony was just too damn good for them, because make no mistake, E3 2013 wasn't a Sony homicide, it was a Microsoft suicide. Sony won by merely not shitting themselves, and that's what you have to understand heading into E3 2014. Sony, as we mentioned, for all their successes with the PS4, is not actually in all that comfortable of a position. Beyond the fact that the company is losing jobs like a telemarketer with Tourette's, the PS4, even compared with the Xbox One's similarly anemic library, has no fucking games. Your job then is twofold. The first is simple. every chance you bleary-eyed cunt flaps are presented with, you mention that Kinect is gone. I don't give a fuck how inappropriate the timing or context. If a San Diego street riot tears through the convention center, if hordes of flying monkeys descend from the heavens, swoop up Jeff Keighley and carry him back to a time when people still visited GameFailers.com, you mention that fucking price drop anyways. And the second thing, games. Look, we know you've got them, motherfuckers. We know you've been sitting on them. The worst kept secret in contemporary gaming is the fact that Microsoft has spent the better part of the last 4 years quietly assembling a new stable of first-party exclusive developers. We're not fucking retards, so show us those fucking games. And most importantly, show us games that will launch in the next year before Sony have a chance to pull their thumbs out of their collective asses. Fulfill both of those directives, and suddenly this entire console generation will be up for grabs yet again. Speaking of which...
Hold on, salvation is on its way.
In my not even remotely to be construed as humble opinion, no single company stands a higher chance of playing spoiler at this year's E3 than fucking Nintendo. Nintendo have the potential anyways to be this year's wild card, and really the only question at this point is whether or not they'll actually avail themselves of said opportunity. Thanks to the huge release of Mario Kart 8, the little console that could is gradually but surely beginning to register a fucking pulse. Whether it's the mind-boggling and profoundly metal 666% Wii U sales increase in Europe, or the steadily growing buzz of incoming first-party exclusives, gamers are slowly beginning to reacquaint ourselves with an old friend that we haven't seen in quite a while. Positive news about fucking Nintendo. I mean, I've said it before and I'll say it again. You bet against Nintendo at your own fucking peril. These fuckers know gaming better than anyone else in the goddamn market. And at E3 2014, they have the single easiest job of any other company. Literally, the only thing they have to do is show some of those mind-blowing Nintendo first-party exclusives they're known for. That's it. Games. Cut and print. I mean, I don't give a fuck if it's the rebirth of F-Zero or Star Fox or Metroid or even that ever-ready trump card fucking Zelda. If they show even one of those goddamn things and maybe even throw in a light price cut as the cherry on top, between that and Mario Kart 8's momentum, suddenly the Wii U's distant third place gets a whole lot less fucking distant. And the best part is that if Nintendo elects to do so, no one at all would possibly see it coming. They've dialed back their presence at this year's E3. I believe they're holding a private Nintendo Direct this year in lieu of a full-on E3 stage show. With their exorbitant monetary losses over the past 2 quarters, I mean, no one really expects Nintendo to actually come out swinging. And the best part is, they really don't even have to. Just be Nintendo. Flash those bouncy, pert first-party game titties and see if the audience at large isn't tripping over their own dicks for a peek. I'm RazörFist. God fucking speed.